everyone, my name's Harriet and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking you through my new bullet journal. So if you weren't already aware, I already have another channel, my main channel, which is all about books, and I have a bookish bullet journal which I've made a lot of videos about on that channel, and I'll link my playlist down below if you're interested. Since I've been getting pretty heavily into different hobbies and I really like tracking and organising things, I thought I'd start another bullet journal. I also thought I would give another crack at using the bullet journal to actually organise my daily life rather than just track my hobbies. So I also do have a weekly spread in here, which is the one that I'm going to try and use, so I'll talk you through that. So just before we get into it, this is the Leuchtturm 1917 notebook. This is one that I see a lot of other bullet journalers using. I have also used a Moleskine journal and just a normal notebook, and I do prefer these for a few reasons. One is that they are pretty wide. There is a fair amount of extra width compared to the Moleskine, and I feel like that really does help. It's also pretty hardback, so it's easy to carry around and not get destroyed. It has two of these little bookmark holder things, which I always find really useful, so I can use one for a collection that I always flip to and another one for the current week that I'm at, so I find that really helpful. Another reason I really like it is because it has numbers in the bottom corners of all the pages. It does also have a little date section at the top of all the pages, but I don't find myself using that. But these numbers are really useful when it comes to having an index or a contents, because in anything that doesn't have numbers you have to write all the numbers in yourself, which gets a little bit boring. And then at the beginning it has this kind of index slash contents page built in, which is just super useful. So I just find that it's kind of already ready to go when you're starting a new bullet journal. You don't have to set up an index or number the pages or anything, and these two markers I find super useful. So I'm gonna skip past the contents for now because I'm gonna show you all these pages. But basically, if you're not aware, the way a bullet journal works is that you can create whatever pages you like. They're all completely blank. If you want to have a monthly spread, a weekly spread, a daily spread, different pages with different lists, you can put them wherever you like in whatever order, and then you can always go back to the index to see where those things are. Right at the back of the bullet journal, I have a kind of colour plan thing. I have a bunch of Tombow dual brush pens, which I bought in these colours because this is sort of vaguely the colour scheme that I want to have for my garden. And I also have these two-way deco pens, which I really like. And so I've just done a little kind of preview of what the colour looks like, because the lid is never accurate and it lets me just keep track of everything. So the first page after the index pages is a little title page. It's not really necessary, but I had new Tombow pens and I wanted to use them for something. So I've just called this my hobby journal in order to distinguish it from my book journal, but I feel like this is going to be my main one because I also want to start tracking my daily things. Then here I have a couple of blank pages because on each of these I want to do a garden layout. Like I said in my last video, I'm currently living in a shared flat with my boyfriend and some friends, but my boyfriend and I are moving into a place of our own very soon with a garden. So on this page I want to do a kind of floor plan of the whole house, and I can mark which houseplants are where and their names because I always forget what they're called. And the same thing here in the garden. I just want to draw a little plan of the garden and then draw out what is where, name everything. Especially then for the garden plan, I can also then put here the page number for each of the things. So for example, I want to grow tomatoes in the garden, so I'll be able to note down where they are, and then I'll also be able to note down the page of the bullet journal where I have information on my tomato plants, like what varieties they are, when I planted them, things like that. So the next couple of pages are some veggie pages, and these are things that I am planning on doing all throughout the bullet journal, which is why the index will come in useful because I won't have just a whole veggie section. And this basically, I want to have a page for every single fruit or vegetable or herb or whatever I grow in the garden. I want to be able to keep track of when it likes to grow, what position it likes to grow, any tips that I learn from blogs or books, and then I also want to be able to just have a place where I can make notes. Like if there's a particular pest in my garden that goes for the tomatoes, I'll write that down here. If there's something that worked really well, something that didn't work, something I want to try and remember, I'll put it on this page. And then next year when I go to grow tomatoes again, I'll have a whole page of information on how they grew the year before. I've only got tomatoes and peppers so far because one, I haven't moved yet, and so I'm just starting off a few things and then I'll move them with me. And also just because I haven't had a vegetable garden before. I want to start small and slowly grow. So hopefully as I use this bullet journal, a few more of these pages will be popping up. Next, I have a page which I haven't started to use yet. I haven't started to use most of this just because I wanted to show you it kind of set up and ready to go. But this basically is my plant wish list page. This is going to be all different house plants, outdoor plants that I really want to get, but I can't buy them all in one go because that's expensive. So every time I see a particular variety of a plant that I love and would really like to have, I'll just note it down here, maybe print out a little picture and stick it in so I can remember, so that whenever I do have a little bit of money to spend on plants, I can check my wish list and get something off that. And then we're moving more into my crocheting hobby. This is what I'm calling a yarn directory, and I've already put one entry in here. Basically, I want to keep track of all the different kinds of yarns I buy, who they're made by, their weight, how they worked, what hook size I need to use with, what project to use it on, how much they cost, things like that. Because I've only done a few projects so far, but I'm already finding myself kind of looking back at things I've made and trying to remember what yarn I made it with in case I want to use it again, or in case I want to compare it to something else or do the same project with a different yarn. I just feel like it's a good idea to keep track of all the different yarns I use so I can remember where I got them from, what worked, what didn't work, things like that. I have a couple more that I need to add in here that I haven't got around to yet. And then we have a couple of more crochet pages. This one is for my hexagon blanket. I want to have a different page for every single project that I work on, or at least bigger projects like blanket, so I can remember what kind of yarn I used, what kind of colours I used, what kind of methods I used. If there's a particular YouTube video or blog that I used, I'll note that down here. If there's any plans or ideas for other projects similar to this one, I just want to have like a page of notes for each project I work on, so all the info can be in one place. And then this page is other projects that I want to do in the future, and these are all smaller projects so far, but I do have bigger blanket ideas. But I think I'm not going to bother putting them on this page because I think I'm going to start them very soon and then just give them their own page like this one. So those are all of the things that I have so far that are kind of not date related. These are things that I'm always going to check back on throughout the year. So then the next page after that is where May begins. But the good thing about the bullet journal is that if I think of another collection or another kind of non-date related page, like a list that I want to make, I can just stick it within May and then write in the index where it is. So it really doesn't matter what goes where, but this May page, I've just put in the index that May starts on the 13th, or on the 13th, on page 13, so that I can always go back to page 13 if I want to do something while I'm in May, or if in a few months' time I want to look back at what happened in May. So this is just a little title page to show that this is where May starts. Here I have a month calendar for May, and I'm planning on just using this to organise my videos. I talk a little bit more about this on my other channel with my bookish bullet journal, because I tried a lot of different ways of tracking my videos in those bullet journals, and this is the way that I ended up on. Basically, I draw out the month calendar, I write in pencil my kind of vague plans, and then when I have videos up, I get rid of the pencil and I write in pen what I actually did. I don't like to write plans for videos in pen because I don't like to be too strict with videos. I like to be able to move things about and change things. So I write it all in pencil because I still like to have a vague idea of what I'm doing. And then I like to write what actually happened in pen so that I can always look back and see, maybe I did more videos one month and less videos another month, and why was that? Or I can look at which worked better, which you guys preferred, more or less videos. I just like having a record written down somewhere of what videos went up when. Then the next page is kind of still in the making. I wanted to have some kind of spread, but I wasn't sure what, seeing as I haven't actually started using this bullet journal yet. I imagine that this will change as I go on, but this is what I've just done for now. So I have a video ideas list. I have more ideas that I need to add to that list, but I always like to have just a running list of ideas to keep them all in one place, and also so when I have a minute to film, I can just pick one off the list and go for that. And then I also just have a vague to-do list of things that I need to do this whole month. I don't know if I'm going to use this, but I know that I'm going to need some kind of monthly organisation. But we'll see how this changes as I use the journal. And then next is my weekly spread. This is where one of my bookmarks is. So this is what I'm planning on doing every week. So most of the block is empty so that I can write a daily to-do list. I can also write things like appointments and things like that. But I like to write to-do lists every day. It just helps me feel more organised. Then I also have a little water tracker. I just kind of drew a square in one of my blue pens because I have a 500 milliliter bottle and you're meant to have 2 liters a day. I just did 4 because it means I need to have 4 of those bottles. And drinking more water is something that I really need to get better at, so I thought that would be something nice to track. And then down here I have a little habit tracker. I obviously don't need to do these things every single day. I don't need to water my plants every single day, but these are some things that I like to do on a regular basis. So I have read, write, have a green smoothie, water my plants, reply to comments on YouTube, declutter and clean. I don't need to do all those things every single day, but they are things that I like to do regularly and stay on top of, and so I think it would be good to have a record of when I last did those things in this journal. And that is everything that I have so far. It's pretty basic and pretty bare bones, but I imagine that as I begin to use it, it will expand massively. I imagine certain things will change and I will add certain different lists and certain pages. But this is how I have it set up to use so far. I'm really looking forward to getting into using it. I'm really liking the colour scheme that I've got with my pens, and it was just a lot of fun to set up. So please let me know if you enjoyed this video. I'm planning on doing updates every few months on how I'm using it and how it's changed. Do let me know if you'd be interested to see more of those, and let me know if you have a bullet journal and if you have any ideas or tips for me. That would be great. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye!